Well, when we get them in, you can see some of them are depressed. I mean, emotion, and a horse can really show emotion, not just in its facial, expression, but in its body language. I mean, you can tell when a horse is depressed.
When I first walked into the pen and the horses came around, I felt a lot of excitement and curiosity coming from them. They were certainly anxious. They actually knew why we were there. They're very telepathic, and I just felt welcomed. I felt the connection and their love.
So working with energy on horses is really no different than working with humans. We're working on the mental, the physical, and the emotional aspects of the horses.
When we get our horses in, they can be in poor shape or very good shape. It really depends where they come from.
So this is Bandit, and actually this is one of the owner's horses, and very wonderful to work with because he's quite patient. So you can sit and actually focus the energy and work with him, and he'll just stay and absorb the energy.
When you go to auction, there's so many that come through.
Right.
That are drafts, and it's so heart-wrenching when you see a team come through that have been working together for, could be years, and they're going to break them up at auction. Someone buys one and the other one goes to a meat buyer. And it's just
just not right.
all that time that goes into training them, for one thing, not to mention that, and then to break up the emotional bond that they've got because they're a team.
People forget that that animals have feelings.
Yeah.
That they're emotionally connected.
The way I work with the energy is I will slowly caress the body and scan the body for any heat or problems. I tune into my own emotions in my body because I often feel what's wrong with them in my own body. And what I'll do is then work on the spot. Right now, he's very curious about everything that's going on right now. But as you can see, he's a very gentle horse. He's got a little bit of stomach problems. So I'm just going to do a zigzag effect on his stomach. Hello. And this one's working on my shoulder right now. So all I do is once I realize what's going on with the horses, I'll then just tune in and send the energy to them. And as you can see, he started shifting as soon as I had the energy flow. He's gone into a meditative state, and he just gets very calm and gentle. Now, energy work is really good for them because it actually calms them, relaxes them, and just overall takes care of their mental, their emotional, and their physical, stuff that is going on with them. So it heals them on many levels. And they're very open to it because they're energy workers too.
Horses being a companion animal, just like a dog as far as I'm concerned.
They are. Very docile.
I've got cows. We raise cattle too, and they're just not the same. I mean, my cows still like attention, but not like a horse. A horse will come up and put its head on your shoulder. Cow generally won't do that.
She's almost going into a light trance, like a bigger connection. It's very mutual. She's checking me out. She's checking my own energy. She's a little nervous. I can see why people use these animals to help people in recovery, working through terminal illness, people that are overcoming addictions, because there's so much to learn from them. They're so unconditional. They don't see what gender you are, how much money you have in your bank account, what your title is. All they want is just for you to be yourself. Horses don't see color. And what that does is there's no real filter when they look at you. They say that a horse can actually see your soul. Right now I'm using my selenite wand. It's actually a mineral, so it's got a very gentle vibration. And when you lightly follow the meridians, run it down their spine, what it does is it actually lines them up, gets them communicating, but it's also really good for cellular release too. So if there's any kind of major trauma, it seems to work with the emotional body, and it just overall seems to calm them. It's a very feminine mineral. And actually it's very good for joint and nerve issues.
It's funny that you're saying that because I have a joint problem in my hip, and while you're working on her, she was nipping at my hip.
They were working on my ankle earlier today, and they're just an amazing beings.
There you go.
There we go. See, now she's working on me.
Well, and that's one thing with horses. As you're giving energy, they have to give it back to you. They can't hold on to it all. And they certainly can't stay still for very long.
No, they can't. Thank you.
Don't you find your heart just opens so wide while you're here?
I am wide open, and you know, as I was talking about earlier, animals and possibly horses as well, potentially horses, they all come from that heart seal. So they're automatically in a higher state than we are. They look down at us and they see the bigger picture, and they don't get caught in the human dramas. They just go, oh, whatever. You know, there's so much to be learned from studying nature. And it's their natural state to want to go in and go, you know what, there's something wrong. They
I'm just going to take it away.
And they blow it away. That is their natural compulsion.
And it's really great considering all of these horses here were rescued for one reason or another.
And it teaches you a lot about compassion and the power of forgiveness, that no matter what you put these animals through, all they actually want is love. I like Joe, especially. He's the biggest one, and he's actually the least intimidating to me. The first time I came here, he came right up to me. He welcomed me.
He was in need of having his rear feet, he needed shoes put on. They had a really tough time getting them on him, and he struggled quite a bit. So he was, you know, he beat himself up a little bit, and they kind of probably put a little more pressure on him than they should have too. But it was just a bad situation, and ended up being a little bit hurt. You know, I mean, he was some marks on him and some scratches and some swelling and stuff. Debbie had come out and I'd mentioned it to her. Actually, no, Niki was here that day too, and I mentioned that what had happened, and they said that they had sensed something just from him alone, and the day before. And I said, well, isn't that just peculiar, because that's when they did the work on him. So, and they went out and had a session with him, and he was doing better after that. He was, you know, he's moving around a little bit better, and his attitude was a little bit better, and you know, because he was just looked depressed. His head was hanging down before they saw him, and now you know, after that he was kind of up moving around. So there must be something to it.